Hi, I'm Kasra, and this is an introduction to cost estimation. This topic will cover what cost estimation is and why project managers need to focus on cost estimation and what type of values project managers will get from estimating costs of project activities. Simply put, cost estimation is the process to determine the amount of funding required to achieve a part or a step in the project lifecycle. When speaking of a step in the project lifecycle, I am in particular referring to an activity, a task, a work package, a deliverable, or a milestone in the project lifecycle. Now, let's focus on this definition and explore this a little bit further. The cost estimation will be done for discrete portions of the project. Again, that would be an activity, a task, etc. Having estimated the cost of a series of sub-activities or sub-work packages that lead to a milestone, the project manager can determine the costs associated with that milestone. This can be done by adding up all the costs leading to a milestone. For example, let's assume that we've been given a task to install 25 monitors in a computer lab. As the project manager, we determine the activities associated with this project, and we manage to estimate the cost for each activity and determine the target completion date for each one. For example, the activities will be to document the specifications, to determine 3 vendors, to obtain quotes from those vendors, determine and select the lowest cost vendor, procure the monitors, unpack, install, and test the monitors. In this sample project, after we have estimated the cost of each activity, we can determine the cost of milestone 1 by adding the cost of each activity that leads to milestone 1. So for instance, for milestone 1, to be able to arrive at $2,860, we need to add $250 to $50 to $50 to $10 and finally to $2,500, which are the costs of activities 1 to 5. Following the same logic, the cost of milestone 2 will be determined as $110 and the total project cost will be determined as $2,970. When do we start to estimate costs? Estimating costs of activities in the project starts when the idea of the project starts to shape. Of course, depending on the timing and when we are performing the cost estimation activities, the accuracy of the numbers that we arrive at will be different. The more information that we have, the more accurate the estimation will be. Generally, we aim to have costs estimated within plus minus 5%. Therefore, the cost of our simple project will be something between $2,821.50, which is 5% less than $2,970, and $3,118.05, which is 5% more than $2,970. Now, why do we estimate costs? Project managers estimate costs of activities to determine whether or not the project can and should be executed. In our previous example, for instance, if only $1,000 is available, we will need to find alternative sources of funding or even put the project on hold until the total amount of $2,970 becomes available. We also estimate costs to find out when and how much money the project requires. Again, in our example, while the total cost of the project is estimated to be $2,970, until January 10th, we'd only need $360. Therefore, it will be acceptable to start the project even if the total required funding is not available on day 1, as long as there is an understanding and commitment from the sponsor that the funding will become available when it is required. Also, estimating costs will help us determine the relationship between an activity's cost and its duration. As an example, let's say the cost of activity 5, which is currently $2,500, includes a markup of 20% due to the expedited shipping that we have selected. In this case, we can decide not to use the expedited shipping and bring down the cost from $2,500 to $2,000. However, the catch is, if we use ground shipping, it will take 35 calendar days more than the amount of time that we are already estimated. Therefore, we have a choice here. We have a decision to make. Should we pay $2,500 to be able to finish the project on January 17th? Or should we spend $2,000 and save $500 but finish the project on February 16th instead of January 17th? There's of course no right or wrong answer to this question. The answer depends on whether the cost or the project finish date is more important to our project sponsor. Lastly, we estimate costs because estimating costs will help us determine the health of the project. Later, as we cover controlling costs, I will show how, using the estimated cost of project activities, we can determine whether the project is progressing on budget and on time. Of course, estimating costs of activities of a project is not easy. There are various challenges that we will face while trying to estimate these costs. The sources of these challenges are generally the PM and the team, because the team or PM's tendency to under or overestimate costs will result in inaccurate estimations. We should keep in mind that overestimating costs is as damaging to the project's health as underestimating costs is. The other source of challenges include available information and data. That is, low quality data and information on the activities, tasks, and work packages. There is always the risk that much of the data might be padded by subject matter experts. This happens when the resources are not confident they can complete the tasks within a most likely duration. They increase the amount of time, and as the result, the cost required to achieve the task. As we will see in the schedule management, this will result in student syndrome, causing the project to potentially fail. The other source is project scope. If the project scope is not very well or completely defined, estimating activity costs will become difficult and less accurate. Unfortunately, in many cases, lack of clarity in the project scope might be unknown to the PM and might remain unknown for quite some time. The PM may feel that the scope is clear. As a result, the PM would confidently estimate the costs based on the information available at the time. The problem is that the PM's confidence on the estimating and estimated numbers has little to no relationship with the accuracy of the estimated numbers. The other source includes factors that are outside of the context of the project. These include factors outside of the project, but internal to the organization, such as priorities, funding, decisions of the senior management, etc. And also factors completely outside of the organizational control, such as inflation rate, foreign exchange rate, political and legal requirements, and etc. As we go down this list, the PM's level of control reduces, and PM will have less and less control over these items. This diagram demonstrates how the PM's level of control moves from the items that depend on the PM's skills and personality all the way down to external factors. As we go through the life of a project, we will have less and less things to execute, and as such, there will be less things that could go wrong. This diagram demonstrates the possible number of errors and mistakes will go down as time goes by, to the point that at the completion date, there is nothing left that could go wrong. Conversely, as the time goes by, the impact of errors become more and more severe, and it becomes more and more expensive to fix a mistake or an error. As an example, fixing the impact of underestimating an activity by, say, $2 million will be easier if the error is discovered during the project planning phase, as opposed to discovering the error when the project is halfway through its execution. As we go through executing the project and as time goes by, the cost will go up exponentially. So in this topic, I covered what cost estimation is, why project managers need to focus on cost estimation and the values of cost estimation, challenges to estimate cost activities, and the relationship between errors in cost estimation and project execution and schedule. In the next topic, I will cover the technical aspects of project cost estimation, including the tools available to project managers to determine the cost of project activities. For further readings, you can head over to management-business.blogspot.com, where you can see the script for this particular topic, as well as the books that I used as the sources for this topic.